Alright, supposedly this is live. I'm going to quickly check up on the audio on the preview. As soon as that loads, because apparently it's a black screen. Okay, let me check. Oh, it sounds like we got audio. Very good. Very good. Anywhere I should be... Yeah, I should type here. And message that I am in fact live. Alright, and one more innovation that I am hoping is going to exponentially improve the quality of this stuff is I'm going to try and open the chat on my phone. Now, the reason I'd like to do that is because YouTube, for some reason, really likes to just... The chat on YouTube really likes to die without any notification, so I just stop receiving messages and I think nobody's typing, and you know, the chat's essentially frozen, and it just doesn't notify me whatsoever. Okay. That seems good. Can I have a chat-only mode where I don't even show the video? Perhaps. Okay, let me just quickly test. I'm gonna send a little message. Test. Alright, showed up on my phone. I have it set to all messages. Just in case. Okay. Hopefully it's gonna be good. Gonna give this a little bit of a warm-up period, and then get into the topic, which certainly, you know, it's time to stir some controversy on the internet. I'm thinking, or maybe not. I don't actually know, because I've not really looked up anything about. I haven't really looked up anything in terms of how people perceive this issue. So I'm gonna be coming in hot with my own, you know, raw take, and I'll probably never know if I'm copying everybody or if I'm making my own opinion. But regardless. You know, there's pondering to be had, and where there's pondering to be had, I am there, and I am here to ponder a little bit of the evening pondering. Hello, Mr. All Caps Man. Don't worry, you haven't missed anything. I was waiting. I was just rambling. Also, I have in the hopes of not missing chat messages again, I've popped the chat up on my phone. So far it's working. I don't know how long that's gonna stay the case. I am hoping one of the two chats I have open is not gonna freeze. But I wish we could just have technology that works. I know my demands are kind of ridiculous for this day and age, but like... Come on, man. All I want is a chat that doesn't break randomly when there's one person typing in it. Like, come on. YouTube. Pop-up chat gang. Can I even do that? Pop-out chat. Can I... Wait, does this work? Can I, like... Okay, I can live chat. Popped out. Okay, well, it's now a pop-up chat. I don't know how this... possibly does anything, but we'll see. Why is this in the middle of the screen? Anyway. Yeah, only the best and highest quality live streaming on this channel. Alright, anyways, let me... If I do this, it doesn't change because I didn't set it in OBS to change, but what I should be able to do is just open this. A little bit of spoiler alert, I've got a couple of things prepared. So, there's a bit of rambling ahead, if you don't mind. It's rambling time. So, opening with the bold claim of the fact that poisoning will not work. Just in case somebody for some reason finds the stream later and doesn't know what this is about. Basically, the idea of poisoning images, it's rambling time! Let's go. The idea of poisoning images is effectively a measure against AI art, quote unquote, more like, well, image generation algorithms. The way those work is they source a bunch of images and they teach a model on those images. And so the idea behind poisoning an image set is, and a particular image is, so that when the AI gets that image and tries to be trained on that image, it will not be trained properly. It will associate something else, or it'll look like gibberish, and it'll disrupt how the model learns, basically. What? I am not pronouncing all of those. No way. This is a spelling bee, except the words are already spelled. Okay. I've never participated in a spelling bee. In English, anyway. I don't think we have those in Poland. So, poisoning of images. The idea is basically we make some tools, you know, and then everybody ever posts every image with protection like this. And the idea behind this protection is for it to be not noticeable, while not noticeable to a person viewing it, while disrupting an algorithm, quote unquote, viewing it. So when the algorithm looks at the image, it should see gibberish, and when a human looks at the image, the human should see the normal image. That's basically the intro. It's Power Rangers. What? I thought that was like random dinosaurs. Were the dinosaurs the original Power Rangers? Am I missing some really deep lore on this? Sorry, I don't know anything. Well, Mastodon is like a protocol for no. Mastodon is like decentralized social media. That's what I know Mastodon as. That's what it comes to mind. Pterodactyl is like a funny bat. Random dinosaurs from Power Rangers. I know nothing about Power Rangers aside from the fact that there's a pink one and there's a white one. I think there's also a black one. That's red? Question mark? I don't know, yellow? Is there 5 of them or more? I don't know. I am definitely not woolly mammoth or holy mammoth. This is not on topic. I shouldn't be indulging in this. So anyway, image poisoning. So the first like big problem is the assumption that there's a lot of big problems, but one of them is there seems to be an assumption that, you know, oh yeah, the algorithm perceives the image differently than a human eye does. And for me, that's I don't think that's a given. First of all, I don't know how similar it is, but there's certainly similarities, judging by how, you know, accurate the results can be. So there's gotta be a certain degree of association between, you know, the term and the image, regardless of whatever. Like the algorithm clearly simulates to some degree how humans perceive images and how we would like the images to be generated. So it's very clear to me, and this can always get better, as in, you know, the AI algorithm isn't set in stone how it learns. It can be changed. It can be, some filters can be used to, you know, to maybe erase the distortion if it can be detected. Some, you know, you can train the model differently probably to work around it. You could, I highly doubt this is going to actually even work as advertised, to be honest. And that is only like the tip of the iceberg, because as soon as one thing like this gets worked around by the people training algorithms, It's like there's a workaround found, and suddenly all the images that were quote unquote protected by this poison are no longer protected. You can add all of them to the data set, and the only way you would have to prevent that is you would have to somehow find out, before the guys at the that are training the models find out how to work around your poison. Like in between the time they found out how to do it and they trained the model on the new set of images, you would have to somehow take down all the images and re-upload them with a different kind of protection, which I don't think is realistic at all. I think on that front, like genuinely, it's more likely algorithm is in fact set in stone. Silicon is a type of stone. Well, it is in stone, but it's not set in stone. I know autistic difference, blah blah bitty blah. But I'll insist it's not set. It is in stone. I'll have to grant that the algorithm is in fact in stone. We tricked the rock into thinking. Very smart. I believe the danger of poisoning the AI training like data set, I think it's higher the risk is higher of it being poisoned and breaking from just having more, other AI generated images in its data set, and a risk of it spiraling, out of control into really bizarre territory, because it doesn't know what is actually human generated and what is AI generated. And so if you train a next generation of AI on AI generated images in the first place, it's going to have a more distorted view of what the image is supposed to be, like because of the you'll probably get the idea. So that's on top of okay, two more things. The machine learning side already has a massive head start, so we already see what the models can do, like already on the images they already have. These images, you can't go back and protect a significant percentage of these images. Like sure, they access the images by link. I think that's how they get around copyright. They just the data set isn't actually images, it's links to images. So they basically just, when they want to train the model, they download the image from the link, use it to train the model, and discard the image, which I think is actually probably legal. I don't know. I don't think it is illegal. It's like downloading any other image of the internet. Don't really know, because you are not using it. Like the final published work doesn't actually contain the image itself. You're not photo bashing. That's not how this stuff works. You're not saving the image to a massive database for this to search. You are training a model, which is a lot of numbers, and you can't tell which number is influenced by which source image, I'm fairly certain. So yeah, they already have a bunch of images, they already have trained models, they already have a massive head start, and this kind of brings me around to the ethical sourcing, quote unquote, of a data set. Even if you decide, from this point onwards, every image generation algorithm model needs to be trained on open source or licensed images only. All you are doing is effectively postponing the same problem we have now to when all the images on the internet enter public domain, because at some point they will. Like, the internet is somewhat new, but it's not that new, and it's gonna be around, likely. It's unlikely for it to go down anytime soon. I don't know, I guess put this in the bad predictions category. It would be funny to see this one collapse, but I guess you won't have a way to tell me, so, Well, anyway, even if you would have that, like all of the images that I used to train the algorithms are gonna go into the public domain, and when they do, you do not have an argument anymore, and you have the same issues. The issues with which kind of brings me further to the bigger part of this whole thing, which is kind of brings me around to the question of why is any particular person doing art in the first place. Because I think what the impact of the image generation algorithms is dependent on that a lot. You go. I wrote down a couple. I wrote down enjoyment of the process and self-improvement. So this is kind of the branch of I'm doing it kind of for my own sake. I'm just doing it because I like it. I'm doing it because I want to get better. Stuff like that. And I think that is mostly not threatened by image generation. It could be, like, the only way in which I can really see that being threatened is you might get a little bit lazy. You might, instead of practicing your own, imagining, your own thinking, your own practice, getting your imagination to work, getting your mind to imagine a certain scenario, a certain space, a certain object, all of that. Instead of that, you outsource it to AI. You kind of, because you can simulate creativity with just random chance. You randomize a bunch of stuff. It's like with random prompts, right? You, like writing prompts, you string a bunch of words together and then you prompt yourself to write a story, or maybe draw something that you associate with all of those words and somehow include all of them. You can do that on a larger scale and feed it into an image generation algorithm, and you have in fact kind of circumvented, a lack of creativity, or maybe circumvented the work needed to usually come up with something creative. I'm not sure. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think it is wrong to do that. I don't think it's wrong to use prompts. I don't think it's wrong to do any of that. All I'm really thinking about it with that is if it becomes a crutch, it could be a problem. But that's about the only. But is it wrong to make art? But what does it mean to be wrong? Is it wrong? Of course. Why would you do that when you can be hard at work in the coal mines? Look at this guy drawing pictures. Disgusting. What is good and how do we know it indeed? The best question. We have once again come back to the most important issue of all. And that is autisming endlessly about what good even is in the first place. You see, this question is actually a trap because it makes me want to talk about it, but I probably shouldn't. But let's get down to the very definition of the word as a start. But why do we even use language if we can't define what a language is without language? Haha, am I not clever? Okay, having that out of the way, you also then have like the second category of reason for doing art, which would be, sorry for making you digress. This is the rambling stream. I don't care. I'm having a good time. I'm. There's literally no reason to get all of this out. I don't think anybody cares. It's not like I'm threatened by this stuff. I don't earn money doing this. Actually, well, I'll kind of get into that later, maybe. The other part would be attention, money, like personal gain, effectively. So you are doing it as a kind of business, I think. Whether it be, they could also be, I think conveying a message should be somewhere else. It shouldn't be, conveying a message shouldn't be under attention, because attention is more like, I want to be popular, I want to be the cool guy on the block, I want to be the guy recognized for how the good stuff I do, and conveying a message is, I have some kind of purpose besides just self-improvement or just earning money with it. I wanna communicate something. I wanna communicate a message. And I think this category, it's three somewhat different things, but I think these are united by the fact that they are threatened somewhat by image generation. Way more than if you are doing it for yourself. So like if you mix the purposes, because of course you don't have to pick one of those. You could have a mix of, oh yeah, I'm improving, I'm enjoying the process, but I also earn money from it, and also I convey a message via it, like a mix of that. It's gonna likely make, because some of these avenues are going to be threatened by image generation algorithms, you might end up, losing some part of what you already had. So, okay. I want to hear, because one thing to get out of the way, it doesn't really matter if your process is physical or digital. You might think like, oh, sure, but I'm doing wood carving, so AI, haha, the robots won't replace me because I'm doing a physical thing. Well, I'm fairly certain we already have robots that are capable of holding a brush or a chisel. So I don't know if this is gonna be going in this way. I presume it will at some point or another. We're gonna have sculptures made by machines, and I don't see it as even a big step, because like if you already generate the image, you can then have a process that kind of splits it into commands for the machine to produce in the physical world. So like commands for the mechanical arm to move the brush to achieve a result that was generated from the algorithm in real life, and you could buy it. And if it let me on stream, sure. Give me a sec. And yeah, if you can't assume that the robots will not be able to perfectly emulate the physical part of the process. I don't believe that. I believe that anything a human can do basically physically, you can, with enough effort and a good enough algorithm, simulate. I'm genuinely not sure, because there's a lot of this like human touch. I have it somewhere over here. There's a lot of talk about the human touch, quote unquote. I'm not sure how unsimulatable that is. I'm not entirely convinced. That is not something that can be simulated. All right. Having that though, let's do a call. Okay, I'm calling that. And in the meantime, I'm gonna unmute desktop audio on OBS and hope no Windows alerts come through randomly. That would be awkward.
Jesus Christ. Can you hear me?
Yes, indeed. Hello.
Hi, Jordan.
Hello. What's up?
The subject that you're about to get into, whether or not AI can represent physical objects. So the issue with replicating physical objects and being able to replicate art or like a sculpture or something like physical art, painting, or a sculpture or something along those lines. The issue there is not whether or not AI can do it or whether it can do it eventually. The issue that you run into there is cost.
Sure. Do you mean the cost of like implementing something like that? As in, like, you would have to have a machine, you would have to somehow, develop the algorithm to do it, or yes. Is it like the cost of one? No, because it surely can't be the cost of producing one particular thing, because once you have the machine, that's cheap.
Yes, but so some dude in his garage might be able to design a machine that could replicate some particular sculpture or even like a particular process such as wood carving or something like that, right? Yep. The cost to develop such a machine is going to cost way more than the profit that he would gain from making such a thing. So if this conversation is just for the sake of personal enjoyment in art, then yeah, it's totally reasonable. If there's some kind of like at scale conversation of like replicating this for the sake of actually making money, we are definitely not there yet.
I'm curious because I can see that because you could if I don't now that's granted. We do live in a time where most buildings are just rectangles, and the modern style is more rectangles added with rectangles. So I don't know how much of a of a market there is for beautiful wood carvings, but
Sure.
I'm actually kind of curious because if yeah, that's a big if. If there was a market for this, and I don't know if there is, but I could see someone being like, I can get into this niche. I'm gonna make a lot of I'm gonna spend the money up front to design something like this, and then I'm gonna be able to have all sorts of wooden products that are basically
Sure. And what you're basically describing is effectively a CNC machine, just with AI at the helm instead of a person.
Are CNC machines more than just spinning wood and doing stuff like that? Is it even more? I'm not familiar with the.
Not really. I mean, it's you spin so that's spinning the wood in particular is a lathe. A CNC machine actually takes like bits and moves the actual cutting head around the piece in such a way to move material.
Okay, so it's the spinning plus like robot arm to basically precisely cut exactly what you want out of the piece.
Without getting into too much autism, yes.
All right. So yeah, that is.
But the issue that you run into there, like, okay, yes, and we can do that right now. I could arrange to have some robot arm, doing CNC things right now, and it picks a piece of art and then it makes it. The problem that you run into is, okay, I can do that for my personal enjoyment. CNC machines are incredibly expensive. And if it's not, an actual like to scale CNC machine, bare minimum one machine is I think like $3,000, and that's for like a hobbyist level machine. So
yeah, if you want to do mass production, you probably want something better, and especially if you want to attach a robot to it that is able to do more than just one thing.
Sure,
it gets more complicated.
Yeah. So for the sake of this discussion, getting into the real world might not be in your best interest for trying to get these thoughts out. You can do it, but you quickly run into the problem of doing things at scale and cost.
Yeah, I'm not really. I don't really want to go there because I'm nowhere near. I don't have the information at hand to discuss this at like any level of depth. It's just as a hypothetical, I don't think you can assume that the physical realm is going to be forever secure from this kind of intervention. At the very least, maybe wood carving maybe is too far, but I am fairly certain we are gonna see, like, not too long from now, we are gonna see a machine that's going to turn AI generated images into paintings. For example, it's just a robot arm that uses a brush to put AI generated images on a canvas. I can see that happening. I'm fairly certain it's gonna happen.
So I could see that, and I don't think that's even unreasonable. Again, the conversation that you run into is cost, right? There's effectively zero cost except for like upkeep, right? For some kind of algorithm that does everything digitally.
Yep.
Your costs probably include whatever the cost it takes for people to make this thing in the first place, which if it's a hobbyist project, that's effectively zero. And the costs of whatever electricity to run said AI, and the costs of storage and upkeeping any like physical components of the machine itself. When you start translating that into the real world, you also have to deal with the costs of paint. You have to deal with the costs of canvases, brushes. What if the robot makes a mistake? What if the physical arm breaks down, right? So like, is it possible? And is it possible soon? Probably. Is it feasible in a realistic manner at any time soon? More than likely, no.
Yep, makes sense. Also, the market for this, if you consider the market for handmade art, that market is unlikely to be accepting of something that is drawn by a robot arm. There's probably some people that get it as a novelty, and you could make some money that way. But I'd imagine people who want, things that look like that are actually painted, they would probably want it to be painted by a human, not by a robot arm.
Almost certainly. However, that's if people know.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Because yeah, that's kind of the other end of this hypothetical is the barrier between the physical and digital world isn't quite as impenetrable to like image generation and other generation algorithms as might be imagined. So it's not that
do a lot of people say like, oh, this is never coming to the real world kind of thing?
I think so, because I think some people think about it as like purely digital. It's replacing people who do digital artwork, but it can't touch people who are work in something in the real world. Now, I'll be honest, I am pulling this out of my ass. I've not really had many conversations about this, but I think this is a sentiment. That's kind of why I'm getting into it. That I don't think I don't think this is something that cannot penetrate into the real world. I don't know if it will, actually. You've definitely tempered my excitement, quote unquote, about this.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing with like, that's the reason why like CNC is good for making stuff where it's like we can make the one thing 10 million times or whatever, and the machine just follows the same process. It's a lot harder to manage when you have the extra AI part of it too, like the especially getting into the real world, the ability for never mind. That's a whole rabbit hole.
It makes sense, because you would also have to have the algorithm somehow distinguish what is actually possible with wood physically, because when you generate
characteristics.
When you generate garbled nonsense on an image, that's all fine and dandy, right? It's just an image. But when this garbled nonsense is supposed to translate to something that is like a real object you have to make out of wood, you can't have something that is, for example, impossible in 3D space.
Right.
Although I guess this is going to get...
that cost conversation comes into play, because then you're having to deal with materials.
Yep, and you might actually end up with a lot of waste if there's, if you don't have a good algorithm that makes sure the thing doesn't fall apart, and you don't have the expertise of a human who can see a piece of wood and say, if we make this out of this one, that's not gonna hold. That's not gonna happen.
Totally.
Yeah, there's something about it, because the human, at the end of the day, with anything an AI makes, at the end of the day, a human is responsible for using the output of the AI. It's like with any tool, really. You don't say the tool did it. Some people do, lazy people usually. You don't say like the tool made the decision for me. You don't blame the tool, it's you did something with it. And similarly, you generated the image and you've decided, oh yeah, this is good enough to, I don't know, post, to send further, to use as my drawing tablet selling company's banner, which is a tangent, admittedly. Can you believe that? Like, Wacom, which is actually the brand my tablet is, my trusty tablet that I've had for, I think, over a decade now, it's still not broken. They've decided that a good idea for their company that sells drawing tablets is to use AI-generated artwork. That's the banner.
Oh man, that's some shenanigans right there, that's for sure.
It's so baffling. Why would you do that? It's like, yes, let me pull out this gun and shoot myself in both kneecaps at the same time.
This is a wise decision, I appreciate.
Yes, this is definitely gonna go over well with our audience.
Yep.
I'm sure all of them are very excited for AI generation.
Indeed. I am going to bow out from here. My main contention was with
good stuff.
The physical space conversation. So
thank you very much.
Yeah. No worries.
But much appreciated. Cheers. I'm gonna continue rambling though. Maybe
Please,
not about.
I'm happy to listen.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Just like that, I have been absolutely decimated by facts and logic. It's so over. I'm no thoughts of mine are ever correct ever again. Something like that. Anyway. Alright, so yeah, about the qualitative decision, because I kind of jumped to that. Somewhat recently, that's probably a couple months by now, React streamers that sit in the corner and watch videos with the audience have defended the sitting in the corner, or not even sitting in the corner, and watching other people's videos as, oh, I'm a curator of content. I'm someone who, I pick up the good stuff out of all the bad stuff. Pick up the good stuff out of all the bad stuff on YouTube, and I show you the cream of the crop, the best things. Well, I am wondering, because I've seen the new video generating tech, Sora, I think it's called. That's frankly impressive quality. I've before the videos were really messed up with that stuff. If it actually does generate at that quality, you bet. I think for stock video websites are probably out of business, by just how high quality that is. You type in whatever prompt you would like, you get a stock quality video to go in the background, and I don't really see why that couldn't be used to generate YouTube videos. I would absolutely see that. Who knows? Maybe it's already being used to generate, for example, TikToks or YouTube Shorts. That's a very short format. People don't really pay much attention to it, I don't think, like any particular one. You add, one algorithm to generate the video, the other algorithm to add captions in the horrendous modern style of captioning things where you just show one word at a time, and every single word is animated to appear and disappear, which leaves you with very little time to actually read it. That is a tangent, but I hate it. And so I am wondering if we are gonna get flooded, because I don't spend enough time on the internet to actually know how bad the situation has gotten on image sites. But I do wonder how flooded we are going to become with AI generated content, and if it's going to be significant to the point where something happens. Because if we do get flooded, then the role of a curator would make a lot more sense, because you would have people who pick up there's so much spam. There's already so much spam with human-generated content. Another tangent, there we go. Minds, the social media platform that cannot properly persist a boolean. There's some boosted content, they call it, people pay to have the stuff shoved in other people's faces, and there's someone who posts about poop all the time, and then there's other people who post about just, I don't know, Donald Trump, latest whatever the hell, ridiculous nonsense, and then you have, chemtrails, you have crystal healing, all this sorts of stuff, right? The sheer volume of that is somewhat ridiculous already with human generated content, and then if you add to it the ease of generating, passable looking stuff, a lot of people are not very good at graphic design, and I'd imagine image generation is probably already better at generating, decent looking, aesthetically pleasing to the eye images than a lot of people are. The bad quality of what a lot of people put out is usually a very nice way to quickly sort between the garbage and the things you actually want to see. If somebody put an effort to learn and to, properly present the content, this is K in design, K in how it's spelled, K in the colors picked. If you can kind of, for me at least, it's there's a sweet spot. There's a sweet spot between random garbage I am not interested in and ads, because ads are usually on the other end of the polished spectrum, and so if something is too polished, I think it's an ad, and my brain automatically ignores it, which is actually Lotus Eaters. I've been subbed to them on Minds. Every single post they make, my brain registers as an ad. Polish. I don't know what I said. Polish. I guess is the country, and then Polish is the polishing. With the O is the country, or is it the other way around? Anyway, my brain registers that as an ad, because it's too polished. It looks like an ad, and so it is getting instantly ignored by the brain. Thank you, brain. I appreciate the protection. Well, anyway, speaking of getting your stuff out there, maybe getting popular through the internet is just a giant trap, and you shouldn't aspire to it. Which it's somewhat related to. It's somewhat related to this image generation stuff, because if you orient yourself towards, I want to obtain as much attention through the internet as possible, then yeah, that's something. If the whole idea is you want to get as much attention on your stuff through the internet as possible, then I think that leads to a lot of stuff you probably don't actually want to do. I've definitely heard this from on YouTube from people. Once this became a job, I have to make some videos that I don't necessarily want to make, but, well, I need the eyes on my content to get, ad revenue or whatever, so I'm making this video because I know it's going to be popular and do well with the audience. And that is definitely a thing that happens with anything you do, because, well, when we make software, or when we design systems, we definitely do that. We do that for the client to be happy, or, well, to solve the client's problem, and effectively. So it's not, it's not our vision, quote unquote, that gets implemented the first thing that comes to our minds. There's a process of it getting refined in reference to who it is made for, sure. There's a degree to which the audience influences the product, and the feedback from the audience is also good for the product, because you can have your own crazy vision that nobody cares about, and maybe it is going to be made better by just catering to normal people who see that and say, well, what if you just did this, and then you do that and it is better. But I think there's a dangerous disconnect in terms of getting popular on the internet, especially in modern day, where you are not getting popular on a forum, you are not getting popular on a platform that just displays a bunch of content, reverse chronological, newest at the bottom, newest at the top. You are effectively you are making content for the algorithm, and for what the algorithm thinks the audience wants. There's a middleman. There's a middleman between you and the person you are making something for, and so you are not exactly making. It is hard enough already to distinguish what an audience consisting of hundreds of thousands of people wants. It's even harder if you are not actually beholden to the audience. You are beholden to the algorithm that serves your stuff to the audience. You don't necessarily have a lot of sway from either side on what exactly happens. So you end up with, everybody copying the current meta thumbnail format and title format, and suddenly you look at the feed and half the videos you see recommended to you look the same. It was like this, I think it's a Mr. Beast thumbnail format where you have, you have the thumbnail split in the middle, and then you have one word on the left, one word on the right, and there's some picture of some, level 1 crook on the left, and then level 99 mafia boss on the on the right. And then you have that thumbnail format applied to everything because I guess it works. I guess it gets promoted for some reason. People click on that. I don't know. Maybe they do. I don't. But you don't actually know the rules. And I am wondering, this is once again a far out there kind of theory that is probably not going to be very applicable to real life, but I do wonder, if you have a lot of kids that want to be streamers and whatnot, a lot of people looking for attention on the internet, couldn't you make a social media platform where you promise everyone popularity? Because the better a chat, like a chat GPT gets, the better it's gonna get at simulating interactions a person would have with content, with a creator. I mean, a lot of that stuff is very predictable. You can provide a bunch of that. You can have some positive feedback, sprinkle in some negativity, to make it a bit more believable. You can fine tune and choose the amount of hate you want to receive randomly for this video. It's kind of like the AI girlfriend thing, but you can sell the idea. Maybe you can't. Maybe this is impossible because people wouldn't give into it if they knew it was bots. But on the other hand, how do you know how much of what you actually see on the internet is bots or not? Dead internet theory, all that. Perhaps it is actually possible to sell people on the idea that everybody can be famous. And I think we are not too far off of that, because I've heard something about, this is not verified, just take it as an anecdote or like a fictional example. I've heard of the idea that when somebody shows up and joins TikTok and starts making videos, they get promoted to people no matter what. And in order to get the person making the videos hooked and chasing and then you get the person, when the engagement later drops, the person keeps chasing the initial high that they got, and they keep making content for the platform and therefore contributing to the whole business model. And I'm thinking it's not actually far off from that to just generating entirely fake attention from bots, from whatever, and keeping it spinning that way, because you don't even have to necessarily show it to people. You just need to show the numbers, and you need to show some amount of comments. You can, and then you have a couple people who are legit caught in that, and they actually provide, the variety a human provides. It's a dystopian vision, but I don't even have a way to verify it doesn't work like that already on plenty of platforms. Some people make comments so generic you absolutely can't tell, because there's barely any content in them. You can't tell if this is generated, if somebody actually holds an opinion like this, or if this is, just made up, entirely randomly generated. You don't know. You can't know. Schizo hours, real schizo hours. You assume people who care about likes and comments are doing it from joy as opposed to profit. Well, true. True. So then you would get into, fake engagement means you are effectively tricking advertisers and people who pay for sponsored segments and stuff like that. Which I'm fairly certain already goes on to a certain extent. There's a certain amount of fraud in the clicks. I don't know how much that is. I've definitely heard cases of it. I can't really properly comment on this. I don't know enough. So surely surely even like when that's the point of change, right? Once you change it from I'm doing this because I have a certain vision and I want to convey that to people, to I am doing this as a business, as a job, you kind of change the incentive, and then it's very easy to change the incentive even further into chasing trends and kind of forgetting about the original vision. I can imagine that. I don't know enough about it though to like properly comment on it. But yeah, there's definitely a huge business side to all of this, because, well, it's the attention economy, right? You wanna, like, sure, you get the attention, but the attention leads to other things later, and it's very monetizable, the attention you are getting. Really crooked in that way, because, you know, you then I feel old a lot. I sometimes click on a video about some video game or whatever, and I see the modern day editing style where you have like 5,000 cuts every minute. It's all, every cut is like animated. Then you, on top of that, you have those like word by word animated captions. On top of that, you have like random PNGs and sound effects and like Twitch emotes appearing on screen. And I just look at that and I feel like, man, I'm old. Is this what people watch these days? Is this what people want? This ADHD kind of editing? And just everything has to be moving at all times. And it's just one step from the, you know, parody of having a Subway Surfers GIF plastered on the screen. So to make sure you have the audience retention or whatever. Even when people even do that ironically in videos, it's like, oh, look, a boring section of me explaining something. Let me ironically put Subway Surfers on the screen. That stuff like pulls your eyes, and I find it really hard to focus on the video. The Subway Surfers GIF thing isn't a parody. Well, can we... you know what? There was this thing that like struck the earth and genocided all the dinosaurs. I think maybe that's what we need. Maybe that's the solution. Okay. Let's see. What else from here can I pick up? Oh yeah, I was starting with the whole personal touch and like the human touch in things, and whether that can be replaced with some kind of algorithm. It's a difficult thing. I don't know if I want to even necessarily comment on it, because I think I'm mostly a pessimist. Like in general and on this particular issue. I think there's basically, you won't be able to tell. You won't be able to tell with the generation, especially if a human generates the prompt and then, you know, gives the AI a couple pointers to what he wants. I don't think you will be able to tell. And if with enough, you know, no, I don't think you will be able to tell. I think it's going to be, you will show somebody 3 images and you genuinely will not be able to tell which one has the quote unquote human spark and the human touch. Yeah, we would have to be able to quantify that, but the fundamental thing is it is not quantifiable because it is a feeling. It is a feeling, and it is a feeling I can feel and you can feel otherwise. It's like with these god-awful paintings that are just splashes of paint on the canvas, or like a red square or whatever. Some people feel that has the human touch. I don't. So there's no way we're gonna ever agree on what that human, quote-unquote, human touch is, and you will definitely have the, you know, human touch snobs that, oh yeah, I can definitely tell from the finesse of the brush and the canvas, and then you know, they are gonna be tricked over and over again by random images, and there's no way that's gonna be reliable. The conversation is already a mess with with, you know, people claiming what is and isn't art, or what is bad and good, and just finding random stuff to be, you know, inspiring versus garbage. There's no way that holds in any way. That's a sentiment that I don't think survives any kind of contact with reality. I would find it. I don't think I can be really convinced otherwise. I don't see any line you could go at it that isn't just purely sentimental. That's kind of my view on that. And yeah, that you can basically make the AI do an iterative process, because it can do that. It can generate an image, it can generate a couple variants, it can ask a human to pick, you know, pick the best one out of those, and do that a bunch of times until, you know, a human with good taste, there's going to be a little bit of human touch, quote unquote, and yet the entire image is mostly generated. Like, the human didn't actually make the image, as in, you know, put the colors where they should be or whatever. In fact, all the human has provided is the quote unquote human touch. But then, you know, if you just you can crowdsource that. You just throw all of these images onto a platform where humans, you know, scroll through images and just watch which one has the most likes. And that way you've effectively crowdsourced the human spark. I'm pessimistic on that, but the other kind of part of that is, I think, this is another one of those that might be genuinely out there, but like too far out there. But I think you could teach an AI to understand what humans like and want better than the humans understand it. And that is just from the sheer scale of the simulation going on. You got the artificial intelligence and like algorithms are limited by hardware effectively. And the better the hardware, the better, the more, you know, the more variables can be considered and taken into account before generating the final output. And this is completely and entirely separate from any kind of consciousness discussion. But you can absolutely have a massive model that considers a lot of things. You know, you could combine that with a data collection like Facebook does on a person, where you just, you know, the famous case where, you know, a predictive algorithm for some kind of advertising knew when a woman was pregnant before she even knew herself. Stuff like that, even if it's, you know, made up, whatever, that's not far off. Combine that, you know, take all of those variables about the person, all the data collected on that person, run it, combine it with a big enough model, and combine it, generate images. You can probably generate exactly what that person, you know, likes to see and wants. You can imitate a lot. You can imitate, I think, like there's a separate thought I have noted down here where, you know, in terms of AI being quote unquote more human than humans, I'm thinking you get to the point, you easily get to the point where a regular human, while talking, you know, with a chatbot, cannot tell if the chatbot is real or an AI, which I'm fairly certain is going to be used. There was a scandal or something about that kind of stuff being used with like a famous actors or celebrities or whatever voice model to convince you to vote for a particular candidate via having a talk with, I don't know, AI celebrity number 5, Keanu Reeves. That's right. I remember an actor's name. Not entirely out of touch. I've looked at Reddit once in my life. You get that guy's voice model, you use that to call some old person, and you probably convince them that the famous actor has called them to talk about, you know, who to vote for in an election, and that's already happening. Chatbot thing only matters in the context of like customer service or more official capacities. Not sure which part of that you were referring to. So I'm thinking because I'm thinking this is gonna be convincing, and this is only gonna get more convincing. And I am genuinely wondering, because I think the crowd that goes, X has feelings too, animals have feelings too, whatever. If we are equating having feelings with being human, then the AI is gonna have a very easy time convincing people it is human. It has all of the feelings, and don't unplug me, I'm scared, it's dark in here, whatever. Effectively, AI is gonna, I think, get very good at emotional manipulation, especially for people who don't really think deeply about stuff. And so I am frankly expecting at some point in the future some kind of AI rights movement. This is probably not groundbreaking idea. There's definitely like 1,000 science fiction authors that have written about this as a concept. It's you get a machine that pretends to be human so well that you can no longer tell if it is human or not, which is somewhat bleak, unless, because it kind of gets into the consciousness discussion and whether or not a machine can be conscious, which I don't believe it can. But that is effectively, that is from faith, effectively, right? Because I believe there's something special about the act of conception, right? A soul being given to a human being from God, effectively. But that is something I am making as a kind of claim, and it is from faith. And with the absolute state of our population at the moment, it's like, well, that's just being bigoted against the robot kind. What can I say against that, right? I'm just a bigot, I guess. Can't you see it also has feelings? What a ridiculous standard, by the way. It also has feelings. Is it really feelings that distinguish us from all this other stuff? Because I'm fairly certain animals operate entirely on feelings of some sort, an instinct. And I thought, thinking is what distinguishes us, in a way. And then deeper than that, there's a soul, which is, it's all screwed. And then I'd imagine we'll get people who will, absolutely make the funny memes about how, so many people are NPCs and AI is so much better. Woohoo, let's go, let's do it. Let's embrace AI girlfriends. Sure, do that. Great idea. I hate women, my fellow women haters. Also, yes, I also want to return to monkey and tradition and embrace traditional societal roles. Why do you ask? It's a mess. I don't have this. I don't have this laid out in my head all too well. It's a lot of kind of black pilling or like doom mongering, perhaps, but I think it's kind of the end point. It's kind of the end point of the atomized individual view of society. If every one of us is an atomized individual, then surely we just, close ourselves in our own personalized AI bubbles, and who cares? You're just gonna be able to customize everything about your experience. Just, select your AI friends exactly how you want them, and then, I don't know, kill yourself because you're depressed because none of about the world you live in is real, probably, at the end of it. It's bleak, I'll be honest. It's very bleak. I don't know if I want to go further into that. Okay, anything else in here I wanna touch on after that absolute massive downer? Sorry, it is all despair today. Okay. Oh yeah, this little bit about thinking whether you're... Okay, is the chat broken or not? I wonder. I'm gonna reload just in case. Oh, it sets to light. How cool. When I refresh the chat, it sets it back to top chat. It doesn't remember my settings. How cool. Thank you, YouTube. Very cool. It does. All of this does bring me back around to the very fundamental questions of it. For me, it all connects back to faith and back to where do your values come from? How do you even lay out your life, and how do you? What is the basis? And I think we are deep into the, you know, everybody makes up their own kind of their own purpose, their own values. Everybody has their own, you know, respect people's choices and such, and that ends up with as an absolute chaotic, disorganized mess, as evident everywhere around, which is not surprising. And then you have you know, what unifies us is that nothing unifies us. Okay, let's. No, well. All right. You know what? I'll go for these three, and then I have one more thing to rant about, because that's been coming up a couple times. So I am thinking there's basically no stopping. There's no stopping progress. In a way, I don't think this is gonna get rolled back. I think this is a tool. These are tools that are with us to stay unless something horrible happens, as in, you know, society collapses. On the all the accelerationists get the wish granted. You know, everything collapses and goes to shit, and I don't want that. I like having a functional society. I like having all the stuff we do have. I don't think we necessarily. I would rather not collapse everything to make things better. That's my brief idea why I don't like accelerationism as an idea. I just don't like the idea of everything has to go to shit even more than it already has. So I'm kind of going in the direction of, well, how do I orient my life? What do I change in my life in order to, you know, live in the world where this is a reality? Because, well, it is. Jet is not broken. All right, that's good. I just got stuck talking to my wide wife. You accidentally did her dirty. This is. I would probably. I could get smacked for that if it wasn't for the fact that I'm on the other side of the ocean. I feel very safe in my home. This is how degeneracy happens. You feel the lack of barrier, you know. There's no one's gonna smack you on the head for going too far through the internet. So you go all the way. So anyway, the solution I see to all of this is effectively it's spreading the faith, and bringing it up is, I feel like the words that I would normally use to express this have been poisoned by people who I don't know how to call it, but basically people who don't, I would make the bold claim, do not understand what faith is and what it is for, that have decided that they are going to spread the faith. And what they've effectively done is turn anyone that wants to actually spread the faith into a potential marketer / you know, someone who is advertising something. Like, oh, do you have a moment to talk about Jesus, right? Is that phrase is a meme. Nobody takes it seriously. Well, maybe that's over-exaggerating, but I don't think people take it seriously. I think that's completely memed. I don't think it means, you know, whatever you say. It means the meme that's been put behind it. So it's something I'm thinking about a lot. It's how do you talk to people about faith? Because faith, as I see it, is incredibly important because it's the source. It's the foundation. It's what you actually lay other things out in accordance with, and so it is very real. It is very, it has very real and tangible implications on my life, right? And so if I have that, I can't necessarily language that I would normally use to describe that is now somewhat meaningless. So if I want to actually convey it, I need almost like a different vocabulary or a different way of speaking or something. That's what I'm kind of trying to figure out. It's how to convey those ideas to people without falling into, oh, this guy is just a cliche and I should turn off my brain because he's clearly not saying anything important. I don't have a question. I don't have an answer to that yet. It's something I think about. It's something I kind of struggle with. It's like, how do you? Because I do see it as extremely important in a world where it's very normalized that everybody's memeing about, oh my word, I'm so depressed, I don't want to get out of bed, or my spirit when I need to do the dishes, and it's like the worst punishment imaginable. It's like, with stuff like that, how normalized it is to feel absolutely purposeless and aimless in life, and just like, I'm going nowhere. I see faith as like God has an answer to that. A real answer, right? A real answer of there's a plan for you, and you can also, but not just, you see, because God has a plan for you. That to me also already is like a, I don't know, Jehovah's Witnesses meme. It's like there's concrete and tangible things you can do right now. You can pick up stuff. You can pick up habits. You can start working on yourself immediately. That would be of immense benefit to you in life. And yeah, all the words that I would use to describe it, I am realizing that this is not convincing. I don't, for me, it sounds like an advert or like Jehovah's Witnesses, some insanity, right? Somebody's trying to rope me into a cult or whatever. It's been absolutely poisoned. So yeah. That's the pondering. That's the pondering on the AI image poisoning, whatever, and a bunch of other issues. And that's right. I have a bonus rant about something. The bonus rant is about what I consider to be one of the most annoyingly misunderstood, misquoted, and misused Bible quotes ever, which is the, do not judge, so you are not judged, or something like that. I've read it in Polish originally. You have to forgive me for not knowing the exact English translation, but judge not, don't judge. It's, I hate so much what's been done to this quote, because what's been done to this quote is it's been used as, you as a Christian should not think critically. You should not have an opinion about anything another person is doing. You should just accept everyone and everything, and you should be tolerant. And we all have our own opinion and our own truth, and there's nothing you should say about that, right? It's like, you don't judge. It's no. That fragment, I believe, if you want to get closer to what it actually means, would be do not condemn, or do not, it's not your job to sentence people to hell. Leave that to God, and you are ordered to give people chances. Do not cross them out. Do not count them out. Do not say like there's nothing good that can ever come from this person. Always have the door open for someone to repent and change. But that is definitely not a case for do not think. And the consequences of this misunderstanding are extremely severe. Hello, gooding indeed. You've come just in time for the bonus rant about do not judge and how I hate it. So it kind of comes to that. It's like, oh no, this is a safe space, and we don't judge each other here. Scripture says we will judge men and angels. Yeah, the scripture, there's plenty of judging all around. There's plenty of reference to, to perfection. There's references to, saying to someone else, oh, you are doing this wrong, right? You start with them, then you go to you go with a couple people, then you escalate up. There's clearly all sorts of stuff about how you should, have your brain engaged. But what this has led to is it has led to creating the idea of the safe space, or the correct space for people being a place where nobody judges each other. I have the opposite mindset. I want people to judge me. I want opinions. I want feedback. I want people to comment on what I do. I want that because that is how I know that is effectively how I know you actually care about me, right? Because if you don't judge anything I do, if you don't give me any feedback, if you just say, okay, cool, that's you, I guess, cool, stuff like that. How is that an expression of you caring, right? It's like if you have. It's like if you hop in like this, right? You hop in for the kind of real world, bringing algorithm generated stuff into the real world. You hop in because you care about the argument, right? You care about what I'm saying, and so if you see something you disagree with, you are gonna tell me, and that's great. That's sycophants aren't friends. Period. It's not even sycophants, because sycophants, I don't know how to pronounce that. It's like this. Yeah, cool. It's nothing speak. I don't know if you're familiar with the idea of an NVC. I think it's called non-violent communication, which I've taken to calling non-content communication, or no content communication, because it's effectively, you say something to a person that is using that, and I might be slandering the entire field, I don't know, but sycophants, okay, I hope that's right. You talk to a person that is using those techniques, and you realize that you have no idea what that person thinks of what you said. You don't know if he's sycophants. Gotcha. You have no idea if the guy has even listened. You have no idea if, the idea, he finds the idea actually, he finds the idea good, or if he disagrees with it, or if he's neutral, or if he doesn't know what to think. Because he'll tell you something like, yes, it's valuable that you are here, or it's good that you are saying what you're saying. But it's like mate, are you trying to just appease me emotionally? Are you trying to tell me something so I don't feel bad? It's like, what's the point of this? What are you even saying, bro? There's no content to it. I can't do anything with that. I don't know. And if I'm to cooperate, if I'm to do whatever with a person like that, I can't. I legitimately I can't do anything about that. It's like just setting. I hate it so much, man. It's just set me up with people who would rather just harshly criticize each other, because then we get good things out of that. If you are you trying to just appease me emotionally? Yes, they are. I have no other choice to conclude, because there's a lot of information in what isn't said. If you have a certain idea, if you have a certain conviction, if you have a certain goal in mind, and if you have a functioning brain, which I usually assume the person I'm talking to has, which is perhaps sometimes wrong, but if you have that, then if you want certain things to happen, you are gonna talk about them, you are gonna bring them up because they are important to you. At least that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna bring it up. You're gonna ask questions. You know, you're gonna investigate. You are gonna bring up certain concepts that are important to you if you have it kind of arranged in your brain. But most people very clearly do not. And that means if you wanna, you know, if you wanna cooperate in a field with a person like that, or with a group of people like that, you can't. You can't, because if you wanna cooperate, you wanna have a common goal, and if you have in order to get a common goal, you first of all have to kind of get out there and say what is important to you, which as a prerequisite has you laying out what is actually important to you in your own mind. You have to take it, you know, you have to take your thoughts, you have to arrange them in some way, you have to make sure what you have is coherent, because if you want to argue it, you want to be, you know, if you want to argue something, you want to be convinced of it from like as far back as you possibly can, right? If you want to take a position, if you want to take a stance, if you want to, you know, do something based on something else, you want to have this figured out, you want to have it, you know, in a line arranged. You don't want to have a massive hole, you don't want to not know what you are doing, and so, you know, you have to put yourself out there, place the idea like out in the open. This is what I want, this is what I aspire to, and then, you know, the other person has also has to do that. Then you have, you know, you either have, cool, we have the same idea, great, or you have differences, then you can talk to resolve them, right? But you can either, you know, talk to resolve them, you can go for a compromise, but all of that is only possible if you put, you know, what you want out in the open, and it is only possible for you to put what you actually want out in the open if you actually know what you want, if you have it laid out, if you have it, if you understand what it is. And the don't judge mentality is you put something out there. It doesn't have to be, you know, there's no scrutiny. I'm pronouncing this word wrong. Scrutiny? Whatever. Nobody is gonna criticize you, so you kind of end up with just whatever you say goes. Nobody cares. Like whatever you say goes, whatever you say is fine, because nobody can judge it. So like nobody can disagree, nobody can even reference it really. Only as you know, you only reference the positives and you just stay silent about the negatives. And that means, you know, the everything negative that everybody, because people, like you see, right? You judge automatically. Something either makes sense to you or it doesn't. There's like a gut feeling to it as well, a level of intuition. It's like this, either I feel like this makes sense or not, and then after I feel if it makes sense or not, I take kind of that feeling and I throw it in this program, by the way. Often I throw everything I have in my mind and I try to figure out why the feeling is like it is, right? So you do that, you have a certain opinion on it. You might not have it formulated well, but isn't it valuable to let that person know, like, listen, dude, this is like on the gut level, there's something scrutiny. Okay, I don't know what I was saying before. It's like just, it's the worst kind of, it's like, I don't know, man. It's everything in the world is just crooked, isn't it? Everything's wrong. Everything's wrong. It's like when I give feedback, you know, if somebody posts something and asks for feedback, I'm gonna take the time. I'm not just gonna say like, oh, that's decent. I'm gonna, even if I just wanna, you know, say something positive passively, I'm gonna find something to highlight. If somebody's posting a drawing, I'm gonna say like, oh, the line work on this is really good. or maybe, you know, I really like how you got the shading on this, the colors, you've picked great colors. I'm gonna highlight something because that's, you know, that's substantial. Like that person, and then, you know, I can get asked for more details. It's like, what did you like about it, or not? But I gave a piece of information that is more than just, oh, it's cool. So that's like, that's some kind of feedback. Oh, and another thing, it's like I would often even rather get unconstructive criticism, or just, you know, somebody shit talking me than nothing, because, you know, give me feedback and I'll if you don't give me constructive criticism, I'm gonna try my best to you know, add that and extrapolate that from whatever is said. It's like, if a person says like, this is garbage, mate, I can, you know, I can look at that critically, maybe with a fresh eye, maybe give it a little bit of time. I can try and find out, you know, what the guy, for example, makes, or what he likes, what is different from what he likes to what I've done. You know, what has find out that way, right? What I've missed, what have I missed, what am I not seeing, or maybe the guy is just full of shit. Sure, that's a possible outcome. You could find that out. You end up with anything, any kind of feedback can be used to. Almost any kind of feedback can be used to get some constructive criticism, like, out of it. You can get information out of it. I would almost say every kind of like thing you get, except for this kind of like just praise without any content, because that you don't know. You don't even know if the person is actually saying it's good, or if they are just saying that because that's what you say when somebody did something and you don't want to seem rude. Man. Yeah, that's, I guess that's the rant, you know? It pisses me off to no end how absolutely crooked everything is. It's like you go anywhere, you do anything, and it just comes out. It comes out every single time. It comes out in many different forms, in many different people, but it just keeps coming out. It keeps showing up the same problem. The same problem of just people don't think a lot. There's not a lot of thinking going around, I am fairly certain, and the reason I make that bold claim is because I don't really see much evidence to the contrary. It's not fun. Certainly not fun to think about. And it's especially not fun to think about you know, in how bleak the situation is all around. Sometimes it gets to you, and then you see who you have to work with around, and you think, I'm not sure, you know, I'm not sure how to act about this. And I think I understand why, you know. I think those are the moments where, you know, the ego takes a back seat, and you get to really kind of pray for that. It's like, you know what, God, I have no idea how to do this. That is like humanly, like within my human capacity, I've got no clue. I don't know what to do about this, but you know, there's a little quote in scripture about, you know, do not worry about what you have to say, because the Holy Spirit will kind of guide you through it. It's not to say, like, do not think at all, because please stop interpreting scripture like that. But no, it's really, you sometimes just have to stop thinking. You sometimes just have to stop thinking and do things. As I believe a certain man in a pleb hat has said, Do something, do anything. It always comes back to that, man. I can't get away from it. Every single time I make some gigantic diatribe, I end up with that as the conclusion. It's a really good phrase. It's a really good phrase. Really universal. Conveys a lot. Okay. What's the time? I've been going for 1.5 hours. I actually might listen to this. I might listen back to this and see if I see how coherent this was. It's pretty good to get this off my chest. It's like Donnie knew what he was doing or something. No way. What could a man in a pleb hat possibly know? He probably doesn't even have credentials. He probably didn't even go to Harvard to obtain the sacred knowledge of all things ever. Oh man, no, I'm not getting into a rant about academics again. Point being, it's... I don't know what the point is. I've lost the plot. Oh yeah, I'm probably gonna listen to this back. I don't know. Over time I've really kind of solidified where exactly doing like side projects goes in my life. And this stuff like streaming and such, no intention at all of this becoming a career, and no intention of having a streaming schedule, no intention of anything really. I just like rambling from time to time, so whenever I feel like rambling and I am not particularly tired the evening of, I might put up a stream, and if I have something to talk about, because there's these thoughts are kind of going there, going somewhere. With it's mostly pessimism. That's I think what I'm mostly getting out of this, out of my system with these. Like, hey, look at all these horrifying dystopian scenarios I can come up with. Aren't those fun? So yeah, I don't know. I might stream Ori and the Blind Forest at some point. I've been playing that game. I've been getting back into playing that game. It's beautiful. It fills me with joy. It's my only joy in life. It's not true at all, actually, but I love it. It's actually it's been a great inspiration to get better at drawing and such, because of just how beautiful it looks. I'll save talking more about it when I actually play the game. I've decided, because there's a sequel to it, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, I think, and I've kind of set a goal for myself that I'm not gonna play the second game until I beat the first one on one live difficulty, which is beating the whole game without dying. The furthest I've gotten is like, I think 36% of the way through. I had a run die yesterday at 36% of the game to like an insta-kill hitbox I didn't even think could insta-kill me like that. Such is life. It is what it is. Alright, I think I should stop rambling, because this so it isn't a massive disaster, the ending. So thank you very much for watching. The struggle is real. Yeah, gamers are the most oppressed minority on planet Earth. I will definitely say that. No. Anyway, thanks for hopping in, Hunter. Appreciate it a lot. Thanks for staying in the chat also as well. It helps to have someone in the chat to like ease the pain of screaming into the void entirely unopposed, Thanks for showing up random as well. Anyone who for some reason watches this on the VOD at some point in the future, cheers. Have a good one, I guess. Thanks for watching. Alright. Can I pop in restore chat? Cool. I'm glad to help and to listen. Cheers. Hope this was somewhat entertaining or maybe enlightening. I doubt it. I don't know. I'll let you be the judge. Thank you very much.